Maggie stood at the threshold of her small wooden cabin, cradling her newborn twins close to her heart. The gentle night air whispered around her, but inside, a storm brewed in the hearts of those she had once called family. In the settlement where she lived, the arrival of not one but two daughters was seen as something unnatural. Her in-laws, hardened by tradition and fear, viewed Maggie's twins as a curse rather than a blessing. To them, having twins was like inviting misfortune into their lives, something that sparked dark rumors and quick judgments. In this tightly knit community, superstition ran deep. The townspeople murmured about witchcraft whenever they saw Maggie glide past with her double daughters wrapped snugly in her arms. She had become a target of their whispers and pointed fingers, a woman shunned for birthing double daughters at a time when every child was supposed to bring happiness and prosperity. Instead of celebrating the births, her in-laws berated her for bringing shame to their name. Despite her joy at welcoming two beautiful girls into the world, Maggie felt the weight of those societal beliefs pressing down on her. Many believed that women who bore twins were cursed or marked by dark forces, and Maggie could sense the tension thickening around her like summer heat. She spent hours pondering whether her girls would ever be accepted or if they would always be seen through a lens colored by fear and misunderstanding. Yet, in the heart of adversity flickered hope. Little did she know, amid the clouds of discontent hovering over her family life, a kind-hearted soul within the community was watching over her, the widower preacher Abel. While others spread rumors and scorned her for what she could not control, he saw her strength and resilience. He understood that Maggie did not deserve such treatment. She was a loving mother doing her best in a world that had turned against her. Maggie's spirit remained unbroken as she worked tirelessly to provide for her twins. As she rocked them to sleep each night, she imagined a future where they would be embraced and cherished rather than feared and scorned. In her heart grew a determination to change their fate. Their double daughters deserved more than what society had prescribed for them. Maggie's in-laws were not just displeased, they were furious. Their beliefs ran deep, rooted in tradition and fear, which twisted their love into resentment. Old Man Hardy, her father-in-law, had always held a firm grip on the family's reputation. The moment Maggie gave birth to twin girls, he saw their arrival as a direct challenge to everything he valued. In his eyes, twins brought misfortune, a double dose of trouble that would only taint their family name. With each passing day, the atmosphere in the small cabin grew tense and suffocating. Maggie's mother-in-law, Agnes, was especially vocal, her sharp tongue quick to declare that Maggie had brought shame upon them all. "What will the neighbors think?" she would hiss as she scowled at the tiny girls cooing in their cradle. Instead of offering help or support, Agnes began weaving whispers into the fabric of community gossip, framing Maggie as a burden who should never have been allowed to marry into their family. The Hardys had always been respected in the settlement, known for their piety and adherence to tradition. But with Maggie now at their side, who was labeled a witch for giving birth to double daughters, their status felt threatened. They plotted to rid themselves of the situation. They weren't just looking to scorn her, they dreamed of forcing her away completely. Perhaps they would make it look as if she had left of her own accord, unable to withstand the community's disdain. As rumors circulated about Maggie's so-called witchcraft, fueled by Agnes's relentless proclamations, many townsfolk began to distance themselves from her. Mothers pulled their children away when Maggie walked by, fearful of contamination by her alleged dark magic. Whispers filled the air whenever she passed, and the weight of judgment hung heavy on her shoulders. Yet even as isolation encroached upon her life, there was a spark buried beneath the scorn, a fierce will to protect her daughters and herself from the world's harshness. Maggie resolved to show that love and strength could rise above fear and bigotry. Despite her in-laws' plotting and the town's scorn, she would not let their darkness extinguish her light. In the midst of Maggie's despair, a beacon of hope emerged in the form of Abel, a widower preacher known for his kind heart and strong moral compass. He had lost his own wife some years ago and understood the pain of grief and isolation. While he had found solace in his faith, the sight of Maggie struggling against her in-laws' cruelty stirred something deep within him, an urge to protect a fellow soul who was being unfairly persecuted. Abel often observed Maggie from afar during Sunday gatherings, noticing how she held her head high despite the heavy burdens she carried. He could see the way she cradled her twins with a fierce love that shone through even the shadows cast by her in-laws and the townsfolk. Unlike many others in the community, he recognized the beauty of her situation. Those twin girls were not a curse but a blessing, symbols of life and hope. One evening, after hearing Agnes once again rail against Maggie at a community meeting, Abel decided enough was enough. He could no longer stand by as Maggie became the town's scapegoat. With starlit skies above him, he mounted his trusty wagon and drove to her cabin. The cool night air rushed past him as he thought of his mission to offer Maggie a way out, a chance to escape from the stifling grasp of her family's disdain. When he arrived, he found Maggie sitting on her porch, rocking her babies to sleep under the dim light of an oil lamp. Her face bore signs of exhaustion, worry etched into every line. But when she looked up and saw Abel standing there with purpose in his eyes, a flicker of hope ignited in her heart. "Maggie," he said gently, stepping forward, "you don't have to face this alone. Abel offered her a place to stay until things calmed down, his home where she and her daughters would be safe from the judgmental gazes and spiteful whispers of their small town. A wave of relief washed over Maggie as she realized there was someone willing to stand by her side against the storm. At that moment, she knew that together they would forge a path toward acceptance and new beginnings. With Abel's support, she felt empowered to confront whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to fight for her family's future. That night, as the stars twinkled like scattered diamonds across the dark canvas of the sky, Abel approached Maggie's cabin with purpose. The air was crisp and the moon hung low, casting a gentle glow over the landscape, but a heaviness loomed inside the small home. Maggie sat on the porch, her heart racing at the thought of what had transpired, her in-laws' harsh words echoing in her mind, a constant reminder of her isolation. Taking a deep breath, Abel stepped forward and called out softly, "Maggie." His voice broke through her thoughts like a warm ray of sunlight piercing through dark clouds. She turned to see him silhouetted against the starlit backdrop, his presence instantly reassuring. "Maggie," he continued, urgency in his tone, "I've come to help you." He gestured toward his wagon parked nearby, filled with blankets and supplies. The sight of it, a promise of safety and refuge, made her heart leap. "Abel," she whispered, uncertainty creeping in. "What can we do?" "They won't let me leave." "Not while I'm here," he replied firmly, stepping closer. "They may have power over you now, but they don't own your spirit. You and your daughters deserve to be free from their fear and scorn." With that, he extended his hand to her. Maggie hesitated only for a moment before placing her hand in his. The warmth of his grip enveloped her with a surge of strength she hadn't felt in a long time. Together, they walked toward the wagon beneath the vast expanse of stars, each step bringing with it newfound hope. Just then, a rustle interrupted the tranquil night, a shadow emerging from the trees. Abel's expression hardened as he recognized Old Man Hardy approaching in a fury. "Where do you think you're taking her?" he growled, anger etched across his face. Without hesitation, Abel stood tall, placing himself protectively in front of Maggie. "She is leaving with me," he said firmly. "You have no right to keep her or her daughters under your tyranny any longer." Maggie felt a surge of gratitude and admiration for Abel's bravery as he stood up to her father-in-law. Underneath the starlit sky, shielded by Abel's unwavering resolve, she sensed that their bond was growing stronger, a partnership forged in the heat of adversity. With one last glance at her old life, she climbed into the wagon beside him, ready to embrace whatever awaited them on their new journey together. As the sun rose over the small settlement, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Maggie returned with Abel by her side. The sight of their wagon stirring up dust on the familiar dirt roads sent ripples of surprise through the townsfolk. Whispers spread like wildfire among the residents, who watched with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. Hadn't they all thought Maggie was gone for good? The bakery door creaked open as she stepped inside, greeted by the warm scent of freshly baked bread. But even this comfort could not shield her from the piercing gazes of neighbors who had once turned away from her in scorn. Mothers hurriedly pulled their children closer as Maggie entered, casting furtive glances her way, their expressions betraying a tangle of fear and intrigue. "Maggie's back," one woman exclaimed with a hint of disbelief, her voice echoing through the room like a bell tolling a warning. "I thought she'd left forever." The gossip flowed freely, each word tinged with unease. "What about those twins?" another woman whispered, casting a wary look toward the cradle where Maggie's daughters slept. "Isn't it unnatural to have two at once? They say she's cursed." Maggie felt the weight of their stares, each one more judgmental than the last. She had hoped for understanding but found only lingering suspicion and doubt. As she moved about the bakery, preparing her signature pastries, shadows of the past loomed large. The townspeople questioned whether she had truly escaped the clutches of her in-laws or if she carried with her some dark secret. Abel remained by her side, offering encouragement and support amid the quiet storm brewing around them. He noticed how Maggie's hands trembled slightly as she kneaded dough, evidence of the anxiety that still gripped her heart. "They'll come around," he assured her softly, watching the townsfolk from behind the counter. "Give them time to see your strength." Yet, while Maggie worked tirelessly to earn back their trust, whispers continued to swirl, fueled by old superstitions and fears. Every smile she offered seemed met with skepticism, every loaf of bread she sold was scrutinized. The town had been sour for too long, and changing their minds would take more than just time. It would require unwavering resolve and an abundance of love to prove that she and her daughters were not curses but blessings meant to sweeten their lives. With every passing day, Maggie knew she had to build a bridge over the chasm of doubt separating her from acceptance, a daunting task that would test her courage and determination in ways she had yet to imagine. Maggie's bakery stood at the heart of the settlement, a modest building with warm, inviting colors that contrasted with the cold stares of suspicion she often received. The sign above the door creaked gently in the breeze, reading Maggie's Sweet Treats. Inside, the air was thick with the delightful aroma of freshly baked bread and pastries, a comforting embrace that drew in both familiar faces and wary newcomers. Each morning, as the sun peeked over the horizon, Maggie would rise before dawn to knead dough and prepare her signature recipes. Her hands danced skillfully as she crafted loaves of bread, flaky pies, and delicate cookies, each creation infused with love and the hope of acceptance. Baking wasn't just a means of livelihood for Maggie. It was her way of pouring her heart into the world around her, transforming her pain into something beautiful. Despite the whispers that followed her like shadows, her baking began to work its magic. The townsfolk, initially hesitant, found themselves drawn to the bakery by the irresistible scent wafting through the streets. It wasn't long before they were greeted by Maggie's warm smile and the sight of her twin daughters playing nearby, their laughter echoing through the shop like music. One by one, customers hesitantly crossed the threshold, lured by curiosity and the promise of sugary delights. As they tasted her pastries, smiles began to replace frowns. "This is delicious," a woman exclaimed after trying a slice of Maggie's famous apple pie, her eyes lighting up with surprise. Conversations sparked around the tables as flavors mingled with laughter, creating an atmosphere that felt almost magical. Maggie noticed a shift in the community as her baked goods started to soften hardened hearts. Each loaf sold was a small victory, breaking down barriers built by superstition and doubt. Neighbors who had once avoided her now lingered in the bakery, sharing stories and laughter over shared treats. The bakery became a gathering place, a symbol of resilience where people could connect and find common ground. Through her talent for baking, Maggie was not only nourishing bodies but also healing spirits. Her bakery stood as a testament to her strength and determination. It was a beacon of hope in a town that had once been sour with suspicion. With every pastry she served, she was slowly rewriting her story, transforming it from one of scorn into one of acceptance and community. As she looked around at smiling faces enjoying her creations, Maggie felt a warmth blossoming within her. A reminder that love, like good bread, could rise and fill the air with sweetness. As the years passed, Maggie's twin daughters, Lily and Rose, thrived in the nurturing environment created by their mother and Abel. The love that surrounded them was palpable, filling their home with laughter and warmth. Each day was a new adventure as they explored the world around them, their curious minds soaking up every moment like sunlight. The girls quickly became beloved figures in the settlement. With their twinkling eyes and infectious giggles, they brought joy to everyone they encountered. The townspeople who once viewed their existence with suspicion now found themselves enchanted by the twins. Children in the neighborhood would often gather outside the bakery, eagerly waiting for a glimpse of Maggie's daughters as they played in the yard, their laughter rippling through the air. Maggie encouraged Lily and Rose to help her in the bakery from a young age. They would don their tiny aprons and climb onto stools to reach the countertop, eagerly mixing batter and decorating cookies with sprinkles. It was a delightful sight, 3 generations of women creating magic together in that small kitchen. The twins infused each batch with creativity and joy, adding a sprinkle of fun to every treat they made. As they grew older, Lily and Rose became a bridge between Maggie and the community. Their innocent charm melted the remaining tension that lingered in some hearts. Each Saturday, the girls would set up a small stand in front of the bakery to sell cookies to passers-by, proudly declaring that their treats were made with extra love. The townsfolk couldn't resist their enthusiasm or sugary offerings. Over time, Maggie witnessed a remarkable transformation in her daughters. They embodied resilience and kindness, reflecting the values she held dear. They learned to embrace differences rather than fear them, often inviting children from various backgrounds to play together, an act that fostered unity within the town. As seasons changed and anniversaries came and went, Lily and Rose not only became an integral part of Maggie's life but also of the entire community. They attended local events with pride, often contributing baked goods from their mother's shop, further solidifying friendships among neighbors. Their spirits radiated hope, a testament to Maggie's unwavering determination that love could conquer fear. The bakery thrived not just as a business but as a gathering place where connections blossomed. And as Maggie watched her twin daughters weave seamlessly into the fabric of their town, she knew that they had transformed from symbols of shame into beacons of light, proof that acceptance could flourish beautifully from even the most unexpected beginnings. As the seasons changed, so too did the hearts and minds of the townspeople. The lingering doubts that had once clouded their perceptions began to lift like morning fog, slowly revealing a new reality for Maggie and her daughters. The more they witnessed Lily and Rose engaging with their friends and helping in the bakery, the more the townsfolk realized just how much joy these girls brought into their lives. Every Saturday, the local market buzzed with activity, and Maggie's sweet treats became a highlight of the event. As people stood in line to sample her baking, the smell of cinnamon rolls and fresh bread wafting through the air created an irresistible draw. It was not just about the delicious pastries. It was about connection and community, something that had been missing for far too long. One Sunday afternoon, a group of mothers decided to stop by the bakery after church. They hesitated at first, exchanging nervous glances before entering, unsure of how to approach Maggie. Yet as soon as they walked inside, they were met with smiles from Lily and Rose, who excitedly offered treats they had decorated themselves. The warmth of their enthusiasm enveloped the shop like a cozy blanket, breaking down barriers built by years of judgment. "I never expected such talent," one mother remarked after tasting a strawberry tart. "These are wonderful." Praise flowed freely from that point on, as conversations began to spark around shared tables filled with pastries and laughter. Soon enough, Maggie found herself surrounded by women who once stood aloof, now eager to learn her baking secrets and share their own recipes. Over time, Maggie's bakery transformed into a community hub, a place where friendships blossomed. The market days turned into lively gatherings filled with chatter about parenting, recipes, and dreams for bigger things within their small town. As connections grew stronger over sweet treats, so did trust. The whispers that had once painted Maggie as an outcast faded into distant memories. Now she was seen as a symbol of resilience, a woman who brought sweetness back to a town that had once been bitter. Each loaf produced carried the story of her journey from isolation to acceptance. It represented not just her triumph but also a collective change in perspective. With every delighted customer who entered her bakery, Maggie knew they were not just appreciating her baked goods, they were embracing her family as part of their own tapestry. And as she watched her daughters laugh and play among newfound friends each day after school, she felt grateful for this sweet transformation. In a world where love flourished alongside freshly baked bread, hope was reborn in ways she had only dared to dream. The annual Harvest Festival approached, a time when the entire town gathered to celebrate the bounty of the season. This year, however, it held special significance for Maggie and her daughters. As the festival drew near, Maggie decided to host a baking contest at her bakery, inviting everyone in the community to participate. It was an opportunity to showcase not only her own creations but also the culinary talents of her neighbors, fostering a spirit of camaraderie and connection. As the day of the festival arrived, excitement filled the air. Colorful banners adorned the streets, and booths were set up with vibrant displays of pumpkins, cornstalks, and homemade goods. The scent of spiced cider mingled with the aroma of freshly baked goods, creating an atmosphere that buzzed with anticipation. Maggie worked tirelessly alongside Lily and Rose, preparing an array of delicious treats to share with attendees. When the time came for the baking contest, the townspeople gathered outside Maggie's sweet treats, eager to taste and judge the entries. Maggie stood at the forefront, her heart racing with a blend of nervousness and hope. She welcomed each participant with warmth, encouraging them to share their stories as they presented their baked goods. As the judging commenced, laughter and chatter echoed through the crowd. People sampled everything from apple pies to pumpkin bread, their faces lighting up with delight as flavors danced on their tongues. For many, it was a chance to reconnect over something as simple yet profound as food. Then came a pivotal moment. Mrs. Hardy, Maggie's former mother-in-law and a figure who had once cast shadows over her life, stepped forward with her entry, a traditional family recipe she had guarded for years. The crowd fell silent as she placed it on the table, but instead of judgment or scorn, there was only curiosity. When she took a bite and exclaimed how delicious it was, the crowd erupted in applause. In that instant, something shifted in the air. Old barriers crumbled under the weight of shared experiences and laughter. The townsfolk began to mingle more freely, sharing their own recipes and anecdotes while enjoying each other's creations. The festival transformed into a celebration of community spirit where love and acceptance flourished. Maggie watched as Lily and Rose played with their friends nearby, their laughter ringing like music over the festivities. In that moment of unity, she felt a profound sense of belonging wash over her. The whispers that had once tarnished her name faded into memory as she realized that she had found her place among them. As dusk settled and lanterns flickered to life, Maggie knew this event marked a turning point. Her bakery had not only sweetened the town but also solidified her family's place within it. With every shared smile and every slice of pie exchanged, old suspicions were dispelled, replaced by the warmth of new friendships and renewed hope for the future. As the festival festivities came to a close, Maggie stood outside her bakery watching the vibrant life that had blossomed within her community. The laughter of children echoed in the air, mingling with the sweet scent of pastries and bread still wafting from her shop. She felt a wave of gratitude wash over her, recognizing how far they had all come together. Maggie's heart swelled with pride as she observed Lily and Rose playing joyfully with their friends, their radiant smiles lighting up the early evening. These were not just her daughters, they were symbols of resilience and hope, living proof that love could dissolve fear and bring people together. The journey they had undertaken was long and challenging, marked by hardship and isolation, but now it was filled with possibility. The town, once shrouded in judgment and suspicion, had embraced change. The communal spirit fostered at the festival reflected the transformation that had taken root in every heart, and it was just the beginning. Maggie realized how vital community support was to reclaiming their lives and weaving new narratives filled with acceptance and unity. As dusk settled, lanterns illuminated the streets, casting a warm glow across familiar faces now seen as friends rather than strangers. Conversations buzzed around Maggie as neighbors shared stories of strength, courage, and triumph over adversity, each one revealing a piece of their shared journey toward understanding. The atmosphere was thick with warmth and belonging. It was evident that dying whispers of old suspicions were being replaced by newfound respect. Abel joined Maggie at her side, his presence a steadfast reminder of the bond that had helped lead them to this moment. They exchanged a knowing smile, a silent acknowledgement of their struggles and victories together. In this tight-knit community, they had created not only a bakery, but also a sanctuary where love thrived. The path to acceptance wasn't always easy, but Maggie's story illustrated that resilience could spark profound change. With every loaf baked and every smile exchanged at Maggie's sweet treats, they were building bridges where walls once stood. Maggie understood now that true strength comes from vulnerability, the courage to show oneself fully and embrace others without fear. The bonds formed amid flour-coated countertops would last a lifetime. It was a testament to the power of community support in nurturing hope. As she closed the bakery door for the night, she glanced back one last time before heading home. Each day brought new challenges, yet she felt optimistic for herself and her family. Together, they would continue to rise like freshly baked bread, resilient, loved, and ready to face whatever lay ahead.